Good morning, Remit the Isabel here. I usually play video games, like, all the time. And yeah, it is a form of escapism. But, well, I thought I could make a career out of it. But, there's this interesting thing that happens when we all delve into the escapism of gaming and religion and sex and... I mean, I don't have the latter two, but, I mean, they're certainly nice if we can immerse our consciousness into distractions. And some of these are meaningful distractions. But there's also meaningful things going on in real life. So what happens when we ignore politics? Um, well, there's the way we view politics, and then there's the way the rest of the world views politics. Um, we view politics as, oh my God, we have to invade Syria because of the dictator doing chemical attacks. The rest of the world views this as, oh, um, Qatar wants us to build a pipeline out of Syria, and Saudi Arabia wants us to destabilize the region and is offering to pay America to invade Syria. Oh, the Syrian democratically elected president just fought back the US sponsored ISIS and Al Qaeda factions in the region, and well, what reason could the US have for possibly invading? And yet, in the US media, we constantly see all of these warmongers hyping up war and saying, yeah, President Assad definitely a war criminal, when the source of this information is Al Qaeda or Al Nusra, the same organization. So we're relying on videos from Al Nusra instead of like credible journalists like Eva Bartlett and Rania Khalek, like, or even RT News has people on the ground. When you have someone on the ground in Syria from like American media, they just like, nope, get out. You speak the language and you've witnessed terrorist attacks. No, just leave the country. You're not allowed to report there anymore. You can't have anything critical of ISIS or Al Nusra in Syria because, heaven forbid, fighting against terrorists. Speaking of terrorists, as you may know this week, Saudi Arabia, a terrorist state, just got on the women's rights panel in the UN. I wonder, maybe we could have some more genital mutilation and not allowing women to drive cars and having niqabs covering people's entire faces. Maybe we're bringing that to America? No! It's because Saudi Arabia is filthy rich and we fund their military and we give them white phosphorus to spread on civilians in Yemen and we give them weaponry and ammunition to give to ISIS and Al Nusra. And it would be nice if Tulsi Gabbard's Stop Arming Terrorists Act actually passed, but even though that's never going to get passed because the military industrial complex controls much of the deep state, um, you're not, even if we did stop using American taxpayer dollars to, well, I live in Canada, so, and if we stopped funding terrorists in the Middle East, there would still be the terrorists at home called the Central Intelligence Agency, which basically uses white helmets as a surrogate, which is an affiliate organization of Al Nusra, to infiltrate Syria. And, well, now there's a coup started in Venezuela. I wonder if the U.S. had any involvement. And there's, of course, the, like, what was it, 26,000 bombs dropped last year? 30,000? Um, what is this? So there's a war, what do you call it? Shadow war? Anyways, U.S. recently, within the past year, bombing, bombing or missiles. And I mean, we're drone striking everywhere, but bombing and missiles on Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Somalia, Yemen, Libya, obviously, and Syria. And now there's this coup in Venezuela. What was that? Fethullah Gulen started a coup in Turkey. That's like controversial because there's a lack of evidence. Just like there's a lack of a okay. America blocked the UN from investigating the Assad chemical attacks. We already disproved. No, I didn't, but it was already disproven the 2013 sarin attack. Like there never was an attack, and that was planted there by like either Turkey or U.S. agents, U.S. intelligence. So we're blaming Assad for U.S. using Turkey to smuggle sarin gas, and then we're blaming Assad for Al Nusra making videos of a chemical attack, and now, well, Russia's like, okay, maybe there was gas, and like while we were attacking a terrorist headquarters, not headquarters, but while we were attacking a terrorist depot, it blew up because we don't know what's inside when we attack. But yeah, like these 200 plus people kidnapped by, was it ISIS? When they all get like, when they're in these videos of dying to sarin gas, and then like the white helmets, which are a affiliate of Al Nusra, which is Al Qaeda, and also a CIA surrogate, when they, yeah, and funded by the White House, when the White Helmets come and they're like, "Hey, sarin gas, let's just touch it with our hands," and oh, look at these dead people opening their eyes, and we'll just touch with our raw, exposed hands this corrosive chemical nerve agent. Is it a nerve agent? I think it's a nerve agent. And like, has anyone ever taken like grade 11 chemistry class and they're like, don't touch corrosive chemicals because it'll go in your skin and like be extremely painful and you won't be able to get it out. Oh, and it'll kill you. It's like, but nobody in Al Nusra seems to care. So that's a little bit farcical. Farceful? I don't know. It's a farce. And so now what do we have? But yeah, I guess it's just inconvenient to stand up for human rights because, I mean, you wouldn't want the plutocracy bashing you as a journalist if you're like to say, hey, maybe we shouldn't go murdering millions of innocent civilians just to put down a pipeline in Syria. Maybe we shouldn't go murdering millions of innocent civilians just to put down a pipeline in Somalia. Oh my God! And Somalia has the, was it Somalia and somewhere else had like this big underwater oil deposit, so that's going to be the next target for United States coups. And Latin America has been like away from the eye of scrutiny. So like when my mom was growing up as a child, school's out. Why? Gunshots in the street. Why? U.S. backed coup. Damn. Studying at university. Can't write exams, or I don't know what part of the year, but she can't go to university because the university shut down. Why? U.S. backed coup. Okay, coup ends. Back to university. University shuts down before she can finish her degree. Why? U.S. backed coup. But now that there's this war on terror for the past decade, Latin America doesn't have so many U.S. backed coups anymore, and there's actually the first Aboriginal president in Bolivia, and now all the countries in Latin America are like, oh yeah, um, representation from the majority instead of the white colonialist plutocracy. Huh? We're actually getting our rights. We're actually getting equal rights as these giant U.S. investors. Oh my God, this is excellent. We should have more democratically elected governments in Latin America. But no, no. Um, U.S. Coming back with these coups and ah, what a poop fest. Now, that's in Venezuela. Now I haven't looked up. I have to talk about my relatives. They read the South American news, but I watch like shows like well, I'll just rank them. I watch Jimmy Dore. I watch Kyle Kulinski. I watch Debbie Lusignan, and I watch Lee Camp. And no, you won't find Debbie on YouTube or Google because ever since she started criticizing the Democratic Party for rigging the DNC primaries, she's had videos blocked off Facebook. This is Sane Progressive. She's had her YouTube subscriber feed. Subscribers can't see when she releases new videos. And kind of sucks for her, eh? And that was since the Syria false flag, and not the 2013 false flag, but the 2017 Syria false flag. And then that was this month, actually. Yeah. And now Google's going to be filtering results so that if there's like a progressive news outlet, it'll like it'll shaft the independent journalism down in the results. So it'll purge was the word Google used. It'll purge the top results of independent journal of low quality, i.e., well, who's going to decide what low quality content is? The plutocracy. What does the plutocracy not want? People urging for human rights, people saying to end wars, people urging for us to transition to a renewable economy so that when we run out of fossil fuels, the lower class doesn't all go broke because we can't afford to transport stuff, we can't afford to have electricity because that's all completely reliant now on fossil fuels. Whereas in Europe, we have countries which are like completely independent of fossil fuels and using renewable energy. And you know what the thing is? When you run out of fossil fuels and you have all of your infrastructure reliant on fossil fuels, guess what? Price skyrockets, and then you can't get your transportation done. You can't get your fertilizer done. You can't have your beautiful little Roundup with killing all these little bees and insects. You can't have your pesticides and herbicides, and you can't have your electricity. But if you have all of your energy infrastructure and transportation reliant on not fossil fuels, then when fossil fuels run out, you still can effing do stuff because there's the infrastructure. But no, gotta have another tortilla crisis and just boom, nobody can afford anything because we're gonna run out of oil, and then well, when there's panic, then maybe the Koch brothers will start investing in renewable energy. Once we're out of oil, once World War III is over, we'll start investing in in other renewable energy after. Oh, speaking of half the world's forests are gone now. There's now more plastic in the ocean than there are fish. Um, Carbon dioxide levels just fast past 410 parts per million. 400 was the critical break even point of where desert planet turns into a big desert because you know what? Guess what? Carbon dioxide, it's a greenhouse gas. That means the more of it there is, the more the planet warms up. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the planet at a certain temperature, like maybe on average, let's say I like ocean temperatures around where they are at right now. That way, whole planet's not a block of ice, and whole planet's not a desert like Mars. No, Mars. Mars is colder. I meant, you know how Venus has really warm, but anyways, Mars is a block of desert, and maybe millions of years ago, it was warmer and had some water, and then maybe it warmed up too much, and there goes the water. Now, that is a problem gases leaving into space and stuff. But yeah, if you have all the water in the atmosphere, or no, this is a problem with relative humidity. Um, there's a range of temperature where plants can grow, and with relative humidity, when it warms up, when the planet warms up, atmosphere, ocean, wherever you have your weather stations collecting data, when the planet warms up, relative humidity rises. What does that mean? More water vapor can be held in the air. So if you have 30% humidity with higher relative humidity, that's more water vapor than if it were colder. If it's cold, the water condenses. Now, like if it's below zero. That's why you can see your breath in the winter, at least in Canada. So when it gets warmer, relative humidity rises. Water vapor is also a greenhouse gas. So relative humidity, well, it gets warmer, relative humidity rises more. And guess what? That's a positive loop. That's a positive feedback. It's a it's a loop. And so it's a yeah, that's what it's called. Feedback loop, positive feedback loop. That's the word. And that means now that we're past this 400 parts per million breaking even point, temperatures will continue to rise and until the planet becomes a big desert. Now, maybe we have 2,000 years. Maybe you'll be dead before then, but you really think that helps the survival chances of your children's children to have the whole planet as a desert? And of course, we'll still be fighting over resources. And see, one problem with the whole planet being a desert is you have less humans and resources around. And I mean, as you have less resources, you have people fighting for fewer and fewer resources, so stuff gets more violent if there's more people. Because I mean, we're already overpopulated and fighting for useless things. But I mean, useful things, but not useful more than human rights are useful. As in, it's more meaningful to avoid violence and bloodshed than to have a barrel of oil. So yeah, this oil war still going on everywhere. Damn it. So ridiculous. So, yeah, it would be nice if we could just focus on cleaning up the atmosphere, replanting some trees, protecting fish, converting from our barbaric, predatorial society to one which respects animal rights, one which respects artificial general intelligence, which is basically robots which are as smart as or smarter than humans in terms of cognitive ability. Because once you realize that there's no difference between having a soul and not having a soul, you realize that smarter animals, which are self-aware, are more similar to us than plants or rocks. And so humanism begins, well, if we read H.G. Wells' Time Machine book from like 100 years ago, we think if there's a super advanced race of aliens or people from the future, do we really want them eating our relatives or lopping off my arm and cooking it and eating it in a stew? No. What if they're slightly more intelligent than us? Still no. Well, what if we want to eat? What if I want to lop off the arm of some cow and cook it in a stew and eat it? Um, the cow's about as intelligent as a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old human, average human. Um, well, here's my take. If you don't want to kill a 4-year-old human, then don't kill an adult cow. If you don't want an alien, which is proportionally smarter than you, to eat you, then it's hypocritical to eat something proportionally stupider than you. Chickens is as about intelligent as a young toddler, maybe 2 or 3-year old. Now, a lot of these factory farm chickens have a terrible upbringing, so they're curiosity is not abetted, so abated. These, but if you have a free roam chicken, yeah, they're as smart as maybe a 2 or a 3-year-old human. Now, would you kill the 2-year-old human? No! If there's a alien proportionally smarter than you, would you want him to eat your family? No! Would you be against him eating your family? Yes! Then it's hypocritical to eat something proportionally stupider than you. Now, it might also be hypocritical for me not to want some, like, what is that? Some, like, sentient cloud nebula alien to eliminate me for the sake of convenience. I might not want some, like, hyper advanced, like, gas and plasma alien to, or some, like, hyper intelligent supercomputer that's, like, using a black hole as a Turing processing chip. I might not want that kind of alien to eat me, even though it's proportionally smarter than me as I am to plants, but out of convenience, I have to eat plants. Out of practicality, I mean, I have to eat plants, not out of convenience, otherwise I'll die. So that's intelligence supremacism, which is better than human supremacism because I would rather the plants suffer than like-minded, self-aware livestock, because that's slavery, that's torture, and we're animals too, and we're not that much more intelligent than livestock. Sorry to break it to you. Humans are fucking stupid. So, reminiscible out. And this is a Canadian salute. See ya.